Bonjour, Bedasagin and Dejnakas, Megazin Nondam, Boating Donjaba. That was a greeting in my Ojibwe language. Welcome again to the Veteran's View, where I, myself a veteran, discusses current topics and political opinions on our First Nation communities. Today I want to discuss a term that's been being brought up lots by our Indian agents, our chief and councils, and the term is fiduciary. So I'm going to give the definition and I'm going to have a little discussion on this. And, feel free to share your opinions or share this video around because it's a term not too many people of us probably heard or even utilized, but our leaders, our chief and councils, our Indian agents are using this term as a reference for them to keep a portion of the people's money. So the term fiduciary refers to a relationship of trust and confidence, particularly in legal and financial contexts. A fiduciary duty is an obligation to act in the best interest of another party, often requiring a higher standard of care than in ordinary business relationships. Fiduciaries are expected to avoid conflicts of interest and to prioritize the interests of those they serve. So basically, to sum fiduciary up, is they got to hold our needs above their own. They got to do that in good faith, and it's their legal requirement. So they're using this term on us to keep 30% of the money here in Batchewana. They're not giving us no other option. I'm sure in the Robinson Huron Treaty area, there's going to be similar. Our lawyers, our Crown representatives that represent the law are going to come with this fiduciary presentation and use it as a stepping block for them to control a percentage of the people's money. My problem with this is the Crown and the federal government themselves have a fiduciary responsibility to the Indigenous people of Canada. And that fiduciary responsibility includes education, healthcare, housing, and also numerous other things. But those are some main things: education, healthcare, and housing. The problem I have with the chief and councils, Indian agents, utilizing this fiduciary duty, saying that they have a responsibility to follow this. How come not one of them is holding the federal government or the Crown responsible for their fiduciary duties to uphold for education, healthcare, and housing? Our education sucks. There shouldn't be only a handful of a select Indigenous people from each of our communities have the opportunity to go to school. It should be anybody. If they want to better themselves in this modern world, they should have the opportunity to do it. And it's the Crown and the federal government's fiduciary duty to provide that. Now let's go into healthcare. Why, as Indigenous people, status Indians in these lands, still have the lowest tier of healthcare? Again, why isn't our Indian agents holding the federal government or the Crown responsible for their fiduciary duty to give us top tier healthcare? Why hasn't that changed? Because they're not saying anything. Nor are they upholding them for their end of the deal and saying, you're not being fiduciary responsible to us. It's time that you guys start fulfilling your fiduciary responsibility, because now we are going to use this term on our very own people. See where the problem is? Everybody doesn't want to hold the Crown or the federal government or Indian councils. They don't want to do that because it'll rock the boat a little. But yet, hey, let's turn around and use the term fiduciary on our people to keep their money. The Crown has an obligation, a fiduciary responsibility to provide the funds that are coming into our communities forever. nor should they take $945 million and have it in a war chest. That term war chest alone has so many problems. Are we preparing for war? Because we got no warriors. We got a bunch of people that push policy. That's about it. So it's a very short video, but the fiduciary responsibility of our Indian agents, our chief and councils, basically means they have to hold our needs above their own. And considering the modern day economy in today's, wealth system, the term inflation, everything is expensive. Our needs matter now more than ever, considering the modern day economy, how expensive everything is. Our people could use some relief. And to openly say we're taking 30% of your money because it's our fiduciary responsibility to do so is a crock of shit. You Indian agents, you're all lying to us. Remember when the RCMP came to our communities, I'll do an example. We have approximately 3,200 people here in Batchewana First Nation. When the RCMP delivered the funds, which was approximately $12,800 if we had 3,200 members at $4 a year, the Crown knew they couldn't trust the chief and councils with that $12,800 to disperse it properly. So they gave it to the RCMP. So that's why we went over to our band offices and the RCMP was there in their nice hats and red suits, and we signed for our money and they distributed it to us. Why? Because they didn't trust the band councils with that little bit of money. Now suddenly we're supposed to trust them with hundreds of millions of dollars when they can't even manage the monies that the Crown gives us to its full percentage here. I'll close this video. Feel free to share your opinions. I just want to remind our political leaders that politicians are not above the people, they are of the people. And throwing this fiduciary term around like you guys utilize it and know what that means is laughable, because not once have you guys been financially responsible. So, Bama Pigawamin, until the next video, we'll see you again, and stay motivated, keep pushing, your voices to be heard, and and if the grassroots or anybody wants to get a hold of me, I'll put my email down below, and I'm also going to put the Indian Affairs Minister down below. Send him some emails too. Let him know what's going on in your communities. It's time to jump above their heads, because at the end of the day, the Indian Act doesn't make them responsible to the people. They are responsible to the Indian Affairs Minister. That's in the Indian Act. We got to remember that. So again, Bama Pigawamin.